All right, so people, I'm sure you've been in a situation where you have a little football argument with somebody and them start drafting some random stats what them get from Twitter or some other place. And you wonder how that come up in the discussion. And you want to tell them, but you don't know how. So next time that happens, when you go to YouTube, type in After Brunswick and show them that video. It's time for me to give them an extra lesson.
Extra lesson.
Alright, so, as alluded to in the intro, today we're going to be talking about stats that are misused. And extra lesson is a show where we're going to delve into the nitty-gritty of football. We're going to talk about statistics and tactics that, most people don't really talk about, but I'm here to talk about them, And, stats that are misused, a little caveat, all stats are misused in football because it all comes down to context. And most people don't really like to use context when they talk about these things. But, for time constraints, I'm going to talk about 3 stats that I think are misused a lot in today's world of football. Firstly, we're going to talk about defensive stats, namely tackles and interceptions. Now, it's just common knowledge, that if a team has less of the ball, their defensive midfielders, center backs, left back, right back, they're going to have more tackles and interceptions due to the fact that they have less of the ball, so they'll be chasing the game more. Now, because of this, people like to bring up these stats and say that one defensive player is better than another. Now, people, I've been watching football since 2005. I've watched John Terry in his prime, Ferdinand in his prime, Vidic in his prime, and the list goes on. And Van Dijk, on a technical level, is better than all of those players. He's a better ball player, and when it comes on to the defensive side of the game, he's either on a par or around the same, little bit below those players. Now, a couple seasons ago, I saw people peddling around stats that Mustafi had more tackles than Van Dijk, more this than Van Dijk, more that than Van Dijk. People, can you please? Because Van Dijk is clearly superior to those players, not because I don't want to diss Arsenal, because Arsenal is my team, but we have less of the ball, we're a less dominant team, so naturally, Mustafi and the rest of our defenders are going to have more defensive stats and more defensive output than those players on Liverpool. Now, the second misuse that I want to delve into would be touches, especially for an offensive player. Now, I want to bring you the example of Mario Icardi. In 2018, as captain of Inter Milan in the Milan Derby, one of the biggest games in Italy, Icardi finished the game with 13 touches. However, one of those touches was the winner in the 90th minute. Now, in a game last season in the Champions League against Manchester City while playing for PSG, Icardi had 15 touches of the ball in 60 minutes. When he was taken off, everybody was saying how Icardi had this awful game and this and that. No, he may or may not have a bad game, but that's not the touches are not an indicator whether or not he had a bad game. It's really what he does with those touches. Now, take Jamie Vardy, for example, last season, Manchester City against Leicester City, 5-2 Leicester City. Now, Vardy had a hat-trick. His 10th touch of the ball was his hat-trick. Now, that's less touches than both of Icardi's games, but he had a hat-trick, didn't he? I think it all comes down to how effective your striker or your attacker is with those touches. Now, with that being said, I like for that stat to be stopped being used to say that a player had a bad game, because it all comes down to game state, the quality of the team, and other factors. Now, Icardi is a goal poacher. He's not one to get involved in build-up play. That's why his touches are usually low. And if you check across all of his matches, his touches are usually low. But what does he do? Score goals at a prolific rate everywhere. Now, the third stat I would like to put forward that I think is misused are possession and shots to show that a team is a good team. Now, yes, most good teams do have possession and a lot of shots, but a metric which could be used to really show the quality of the chances that a team gets is XG. Now, XG measures the quality of a team's chances through their shots. So what I mean is, if someone takes a 30-yard shot, the XG for that, it's a probability, so it's going to be 0.01 out of 1. If there's a penalty, it's 0.75 out of 1. If it's a tapping on the goal line, it's probably 0.99 out of 1. So it just really shows the quality of a team's chances. Now, a team like Arsenal, for example, I don't want to rag on about my own team, but they have a lot of possession, they have a lot of shots, but if the shots aren't in good areas or they aren't creating quality chances, that's not a hallmark of a good team. You have very good counter-attacking teams, such as the Italian teams, such as Juventus, Inter Milan, that just play on the counter-attack, but they create high-quality chances to win games. You have models such as Chelsea and Brentford, who just try to maximize on the chances that they get instead of having 30 shots a game for no reason, you know? So I think people should steer clear of using shots and possession to say, all right, that team is so good. And try instead, try and getting familiarized with XG. Now that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. For the next episode, I'll be showing you why W and M are the two most important letters in football today.